This is a short clip from my parent membership group on Subscribestar. That's where I post my most practical and comprehensive videos. Once a month, I address common questions in the form of a topic video, and I also run live monthly Q&As where parents can submit a question and briefly talk through their situation with me. Please check out my Subscribestar to learn more about the different subscription levels. Now here's the video. All right, we're going to shift into the next category, which is finding the warmth. I think it's very common for parents to start feeling disconnected from their teenage child, right? We talk a lot about how this is an aspect perhaps of a misguided differentiation or individuation process where the kids are trying to carve out their own sense of self and distance themselves from their parents, particularly the same-sex parent, right? So mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. So if your child is behaving in ways that you find appalling or abhorrent or terrible, it's very common to feel very emotionally disconnected from your child and to have a really hard time with things like, you know, you're always told, work on the relationship, bond, enjoy one another's company. But if you're actually in a place of disgust, it's hard to do that. And again, I don't want to, these are not criticisms, these are observations of real things that happen for parents. And it's okay. But if you feel like you're in a place right now where you cannot even feel liking towards your child, I would say you kind of partially fit in this warmth bucket, but you also fit in the last bucket, which is you may need to step away and kind of take care of yourself and recompose your own sanity so that you can reflect on like how to reconnect with that love for your child, how to reconnect with that warmth and that longing, because it's really hard to force yourself. You can't force yourself. You really have to like do a little bit of self-discovery to find it. So I guess I'll circle back to that. But some parents aren't feeling that way. They're not feeling like they really are disgusted by their child or rejecting their child. But maybe this is a parent who historically has had a very assertive parenting style. Maybe you're like a no BS kind of parent and you just tell it like it is, and it's always been like that. And your kid has come to you with this gender thing, and perhaps it's being treated in the same way that you might treat other kind of frivolous things that a teenager says. But there's such emotional weight behind this for your child that it's creating a big rift. So if you feel more emotionally distant, if you tend to be the kind of parent who has to have the last word, or you just are a little more of an authoritarian style parent, you may need to figure out how to find that warmth and find that kind of connection and enjoyment of your child. You may, like, if you're in that first category and you historically have been very close, but you now feel these like angry feelings or these rage feelings towards your child, when was the last time you felt really connected to your kid? When was the last time you had that warmth towards them? And it may be interesting just to explore, is my warmth for my kid historically based on their compliance or their following through with my expectations or their fitting the bill of what I expect of them? And if that's the case, then I think inevitably you are going to bump up into some conflict around the teenage years because teenagers buck those norms, and that's normal, and that's what they're supposed to be doing. So these are just really interesting things to kind of think about if you find yourself in a place of withdrawal and really like, I can't even tolerate to be around my kid. And that's, again, okay, and it's normal, and it's understandable. And you may need to kind of disconnect first so that you can figure out how to regain that warmth. And a resource that I wanted to share, which I've talked about a lot when I first started in like 2017, I think, is this book by Hilary Jacobs Hendel. It's called It's Not Always Depression. And she She's a therapist who talks about something called the change triangle, and she basically explains that all of our emotions, our core emotions, including things like disgust, anger, and joy and excitement, like all of these really visceral core emotions are a necessary part of being human. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. And that when we do not allow ourselves to fully experience those emotions, they kind of pop up as other things, like anxiety. So I'm trying to make sure I get all the details correctly. But what I love about her book is that she talks you through ways in your imagination to allow the emotion to fully play out. So one example that she gives is like there was a man who came to see her, and he was dealing with like some kind of, lifelong pattern of anxiety or some kind of emotional dysregulation or problems. And he actually was very, very angry with his father about some things that had happened in his childhood. And so through the process of like teaching him first about emotions, the importance of emotions, and that in our imagination, we can safely act out the kind of energy behind an emotion in a way that doesn't hurt anyone, right? So basically she has people kind of like play through a scenario in their mind, and through this therapy work together, this man thought about all the rage he had towards his father, and like in his imagination allowed himself to like punch his father or like be aggressive towards his father and like play out what happened. And what she describes is that oftentimes when we allow ourselves to fully feel the rage or like expel all of that energy in the imagination, a new emotion will pop up. So in the example of this man, when he imaginally like beat up his dad, he saw his dad there lying there injured, and immediately he felt compassion for his dad, and he felt warmth, and he felt like a bit of understanding that his dad made the decisions he made because he was also flawed and he was also traumatized. So basically what I'm saying is it's okay to have these intense feelings about your child or the situation or what's happening. And of course, Hillary Jacobs Hendel plays this out not just with feelings like anger, which tend to have a very aggressive kind of energy behind them, but also sadness or joy or excitement. So it's a great book because it's really scientific. It like explains the science of emotions and also walks you through how do I allow myself to process these emotions in my own imagination. And it's really powerful. I really liked it, and I've used that strategy in therapy many times. It's really, really great. So that would be a good recommendation if you find yourself in this group. If you found this video helpful, you'll want to join my parent membership group, where you'll find a lot more depth and detail, along with practical parenting advice. The link is in the video description below. Thanks for watching.